Good morning, students. In this session, we are going to learn what are forms in Django. That is, how can we develop the forms without using HTML code in Django. So the forms are basically used for taking the input from the user, and the Django maps the fields defined in the Django forms into an HTML input fields. So Django provides a form class which is used to create the HTML forms, which is similar to the model forms class. And each field of the form class will map to an HTML form, that is input element, and each one is a class itself. So the Django manages the data as well as validation while submitting the forms. Now, I quickly open my VS Code. So in my VS Code, first my model name. So in my model name, I am going to import Unicode literals. That is, what are the values which are going to be provided from the front end into the back end, like alphanumeric or alphabetic or numeric characters. Those values are inserted into the database with the help of Unicode literals. I am going to import my model. My model name is employee. I am going to create 5 fields: first name, last name, roll number, branch, and address name. So I am going to create a table with a name called employee with the following fields in my database. Now I am going to define a meta class using which all the values which are going to be provided are zipped into one file and forwarded into the table. So the database table name is employee. Now I am going to define a string class constructor using which I am going to return the values that I have defined, like return self dot first name, last name, roll number, branch name, and self address underscore name. So all these values are going to be returned with the help of self predefined variable. Now in urls.py file, I am going to define my index file, so that in views.py file, I am going to define a method with a name called index. So in my views.py file, I am going to define with a file or with a method with a name called index. In the index, I am going to create a form. So here I am going to import my form with a name called emp form. So in order to create a form, I am going to go to my application name. In my application name, I am going to create a new file. In the new file, I am going to name it as forms.py file. So in forms.py file, I am going to import my model which I have defined in models.py file. So here I am going to import my model, that is employee, and here I am going to define a class with a name called emp form. And emp form with a parameter as forms.model form. That is, I'm going to call the predefined model form so that it will act as a regular form. And here also I'm going to define the meta class, and I'm going to model my employee values, and I'm going to include all the values. So here I'm going to define underscore underscore all underscore underscore. So this is forms.py file. So this class name is going to be imported in views.py file and as well as stu also. So in stu method, I am going to call this emp form so that the values are going to be retrieved here. If at all in Django, we are going to insert the values from front end to back end, we are going to call a method called post. So insert the values, we are going to call a method called post. So here if request.method equal to post, we are going to print that method. I am going to insert the values. And if the form is valid, the values are going to be saved here using forms.save method, form.save, and all these values are going to be rendered into student form.html. Then what contains the student form.html? So in student form.html, I am going to load my template tag, and I am going to define certain background color. I am going to mention certain textings like welcome to forms in Django, and enter the following details to save into the database. And I am going to mention certain colors using with the help of stylings. And here I am going to mention my form. Method name is equal to post, class is equal to post form. So here CSRF underscore token is nothing but the values which we are going to be submitted in the front end are converted into the values into the backend. That is, the values are stored into the backend database. It is an example of REST API in Django that we are going to be discussed in the later. And finally, I am going to call form as underscore p, means if the form is valid, I am going to define a button with a submit, and this code is nothing but the bootstrap code, that is save btn, that is button underscore default. That is, whenever I am going to click this button, the values are going to be inserted into the database. And I am closing the form tag, h2 tag, center tag, body, and as well as html tag. Now what in settings.py file? So in settings.py file, I am going to define my database name is mydb. Now I open my command prompt. So here I am going to run my code, python space manage.py space migrate. I already inserted the data, so I am going to insert the new data also. Yes, I am going to run python space manage.py space make migrations. Now I am going to run the code, python space manage.py space run server. And here I am going to open my database. This is my database and this is my application. So in my application, I'm going to enter my field name as, let me say, Pavan. Let me say last name is Kumar. Roll number is 10,000. And branch name is MCA. and address name is Bengaluru or something. Now I am going to click it on saving the database. Yes, the values are saved. Let me go to my database. So this is my database. So in my database, MyDB, I am going to open MyDB database. In my DB database, I am going to open my employee table. So in the employee table, you can clearly see that the 8th row, Pavan, Kumar, 1000, 10,000, MCA and Bangalore. These are the already values which I have inserted. So this is the current value. So in this way, we can insert the values into the database from the front end using Django with the help of forms. Thank you.